So next we have Antoine Tane, who is a leading Hempcrete expert. He's a founder of Kohu Hemp, Seed to Sanctuary, which is a community-led regenerative project that uses systems design to grow homes and build soil. So I'd like to welcome Antoine up here to share his wonderful knowledge with us. Thank you, Antoine. Oh, and you're talking about
Which one?
regional Hempcrete, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just collecting the cups while Antoine's starting, so.
Apparently there's a change of plan and we're collecting cups now, so.
2 or 3.
Oh, no, not that one. The seed to sanctuary.
This one. Your favorite one.
Cool.
Yeah, all right. So,
I was
okay, we're good. Yeah, here we go.
Kia ora koutou katoa. My name is Antoine Tane, and I have been now in the Bay for 6 months. And I, along with Michael, came here together to seek a new community, a new land, a new ecosystem, a new vibration to be part of, to co-create the future that we wanted to create for ourselves. And so I'm honored today to stand before you and present this vision called Seed to Sanctuary, where the intention is to grow our homes and build soil while doing so. A regenerative development project that I believe that we can do together, and using hemp as a tool, the regenerative resource of our environment can help us make this happen. So, a bioregional regeneration, a restorative ecological project that nourishes our basic needs. The vision is for sustainability to evolve into regeneration. We need to be using a regenerative resource that gets us to a state of abundance of food, clothing, homes, and medicine. To do this, one of the ways we can use hemp is to grow our own homes. And I believe that if we can change people's perspective and educate people on how to do so, we can then also educate people that homes shouldn't just be roofs over our heads and walls to keep us sheltered, but homes should be sanctuaries. They should be spaces of healing, spaces where we can raise our whānau to be the next generation of enlightened beings that we're meant to be. So, where does this bring us? Regenerative developments. Regenerative developments are a type of living systems design focused around environmental health, community culture, and localized industry. Regenesis is an organization that is globally renowned and has worked a lot with the United Nations to redesign and bring back to life and re-energize certain ecosystems that have been depleted around the world. They have a lot of experience in doing regenerative developments on global scale. And they have actually trained a lot of teams here in New Zealand. In fact, I did one of their courses during lockdown. What better way to spend lockdown, but to spend time with these regenerative superhumans that really see a new way of doing development. And the 3 lines of work that actually Igor touched on starts with the inner work first. Once the developer's on the journey, on the path of doing the inner work, then he can expand into the community work, which then can expand into the collective and partnership work. So Golden Bay feels like the right place for this to happen. Because it has all of these regenerative aspects already. The community culture here is so rich. it's such a human-centric care for everyone and everyone we collectively live with in the Bay. The craft culture and the conscious organizations that create these spaces for these conversations to happen. The innovative minds. I mean, the endless conversations that come from the heart, that are devotion, a deep devotion to ecology, which comes to the ecological awareness, sustainable living, restoring our environment. Everybody here, I believe, can all collectively feel that same energy that Golden Bay has, and this is why we're all here together. So Kohu Hemp. Kohu Hemp, originally Grounded Hemp Solutions, evolved by a collective vision that started on my journey of construction, where I realized that if we were to go and evolve into a new generation of existence, where we are bringing more to our environment than we are taking, then we need a regenerative resource to be able to get there. And the name Grounded Hemp Solutions didn't resonate with the potential that hemp could actually create and bring. So after some conversations with a midi healer friend of mine, she channeled the name Kohu through her understanding and history of how the Māori people used hemp. In fact, the Māori name for hemp and cannabis was actually Wairua Kohu, and was used for many generations for healing. So these are the core values that we at Kohu are trying to bring together to use this regenerative resource. So here are our first two projects, Seed to Sanctuary, a fully integrated system that helps displaced communities globally and regionally to build regenerative villages. From the whole life cycle of the plant, from the seed to the sanctuary of our own home. In order to be able to do that, we need to be able to use a material that we know we can use and build, grow and build here locally. So this is where we have geohemp, an evolution of Hempcrete, where we use geopolymers as the main biter in our panels. Geohemp is a structurally insulated panel that will be fabricated on modular level to create more affordable and healthy building material. So, Seed to Sanctuary. Seed to Sanctuary is based off 6 very simple procedures and steps. There's the seed, which is based around education around soil health. There's the growing, which is the partnership of local farmers. There's the processing, which is the machinery, the innovation, and the technology that needs to be developed. There's building of the panels, which will create the building materials that we can then use affordably here locally. There's the installation of the panels into the homes. And then that creates the eco-sanctuaries, the healing spaces that we create together, which is the collective community working together, making this happen. And so our catalyst product and our catalyst project that we're going to focus on first here in Golden Bay is our geohemp panels. I'm very excited right now in this moment because I am so honored to be able to announce that after nearly 3 months of hard work with my partner Suki, working partner who's helped me develop this Callahan application, 3 months of hard work putting to this, we got it. We got a $150,000 grant from Callahan's to do research here in Golden Bay to develop the geohemp panel. It's a really, really revolutionary moment because it means that we have the support of a government agency who works with MB, who understands all of the ins and outs of course, the construction world are now supporting us to make this a reality. So this catalyst product, what are we going to be doing to create this catalyst product? We're going to be starting with our research with Sibelco. Sibelco is an organization in Italy who are the world leaders in geopolymer science. Geopolymer science is a very, very young technology that hasn't been around for very long and is in the path of replacing concrete. So we are at the forefront and working with Sibelco and the Italian scientist Dr. Alex Reggiani. We're going to have some of the top minds working on this. Building and testing the panel. We're going to be setting up a warehouse and we're going to be building some panels and testing them. Flexural compression strength. We'll be working with the Canterbury University for doing a lot of these testings. And the other component to it is the kit set modular system. So a modular panel that can be clipped together, that can then be at your own imagination to put together. So you can be designing and constructing your own houses. And then of course, affordability. For me, that's one of the essential things of this product here is for it to be affordable. For too long have we lived in unhealthy houses and it's been damaging our health and those of our families. That is not acceptable anymore when we have this product available. We know we can do this. It's been done before. We're not inventing anything new. Hemp has been around for tens of thousands of years, and so is Hempcrete. So affordable homes, I believe, is a human right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work to do. 2022, where we are now, we start the R&D. We got the grant, we're signing the contract, and it's going to be all systems go. So our main objective is 2027, where we have the opportunity for a whole co-housing development that is in the process of being beautifully built. And there is not only those, but there is a lot of houses still in Golden Bay that need to be built. So our objective is 2027 to be able to build 70 homes. To be able to get there, we are going to go through a series of processes to develop the panel, to develop the geopolymer processing here in the Bay. We're already working with Solis and the lime works to be able to develop that with dolomite. At one point, we'll be looking at hemp processing because of course we want to be growing it in the Bay and processing it all here. And then we'll be looking at setting up a fabrication factory to be able to efficiently build and crank out panels as much as we can use them. And then, of course, in June 24, we'll be starting the community builds. Could be the co-housing community, could be the Affordable Housing Trust, could be neighbored goods. It can be all of them. And if we work together, we can definitely make that work. So at Kohu, we got a couple of ambitious aims, but we do have a round of funding that we're looking at, the 250K to match the Callaghan grant, 1 million for a panel processing, the panel consenting process, which will be going through hopefully not brands, but a New Zealand code mark approving process, which means it's a panel and a product that can be used anywhere in any building council. And then, of course, at one point, we'll be looking at the processing plant here in the Bay. Some of the other things that we're actually also looking for, we're looking for a pole barn, we're looking for tilting tables, containers, conveyor belts, and tractors, some of the things that we're going to be needing to develop this. And of course, we're creating a team, which we call directors or advisors or, elders and leaders that are going to help us through this process. We're looking for local industrial leaders, construction industry leaders, and product to market leaders. People who have experience in those fields, especially when we start to get to a national scale and a national product available on the market. So that's the general vision. If you do have any questions for investment, as we are receiving investment at the moment, don't hesitate to contact me. We can talk more about that. I've got forms here as well. And yeah, from there, let's have a conversation about how we can seed to sanctuary Golden Bay.
Questions, but with Antoine is going to answer your questions. And after that will be lunchtime. Gonna have pumpkin hemp soup, hemp buckwheat toast, salad, and toasted seeds. Sounds amazing, eh? All right. And I'm sure we'll need a nice break to kind of get our heads around and integrate everything we've heard. All right. With that said, Antoine, go for it.
Cool. Cool. Well, thank you very much for all the questions. There's definitely quite a large variety of questions on all sorts of levels, but we'll but I'd start with what brought me to Golden Bay. Apart from hemp, love for a person, love for a community, which at the time was actually a base community, not like you cool cats. The festival community, and the collective vision, I think, was the biggest one that I continuously on my years of coming to Golden Bay to come and party and festivals during the summer. Just the conversations and the vision, the collective vision that people have here is so aligned in so many ways. It creates a strong momentum behind what can potentially be co-created. And so that's why I strongly believe that this is the epicenter of change for New Zealand. And you know, Golden Bay could really become the hemp capital of New Zealand quite easily. So that's what brought me here.
From where?
Oh, Christchurch. Yeah, born and bred in Christchurch. Yeah. Very happy to be here in Golden Bay. Christchurch was great. Went to visit last week. Not so far. So I wanted to start with this question here, which is about cross-pollination. You know, it's a really big thing and really important to address because in no way or form is cannabis or hemp better than the other. They both serve very important purposes in the eco cycle of hemp's and cannabinoid existence. So I've had a lot of different conversations, and one of the things that I made aware about of some fellow friends who have had encounters with, you know, the difficulties of growing hemp in the Bay with other cannabis growers is transparency. I think that the honorable thing to do would just to meet together and talk about, you know, what are our growing cycles? When is yours grown? Where's yours grown? You know, what are the distances so that cross-pollination doesn't happen? You know, it's the last thing I want to do is cross-pollinate cannabis and me not have my own personal medicinal supply. And I mean, the other component is we can also get feminized seeds. So they are seeds that will not pollinate. And the other part also is that if we are growing for fiber, then we harvest before seed. But of course, transparency is really the biggest one. I think we should just all sit over a and yeah, exactly, a cup of hemp tea. And
Do you harvest before pollination?
good question. I'm sure that there's a grower in here that might be able to answer that.
Commonly at the moment, it's being done before pollination.
Okay. There you go. There are solutions to all of the problems, trust me. Cross-pollination again. Oh, so that's the same. Cool. It is a big topic, and it is really important to address that because there are a lot of cannabis growers in the Bay, and the other thing that we also had a conversation about not too long ago was having, if we were able in the future to kind of decriminalize cannabis, then we would be able to collectively have growing rooms where we can grow the cannabis indoors and not have it exposed to the outside. So this one here, how much land is required to grow enough hemp to build a 3-bedroom house? Simply 1 hectare. 1 hectare of a healthy hemp crop is enough for a 3-bedroom house. How to educate the hemp growers? Very good question. We, as part of Kohu and the evolution of Kohu, we at the very beginning we did quite a few workshops, and we called those workshops Educate to Regenerate, or ER. And what we found that in those workshops, it was very hardly a workshop just around the building element of it. It was a lot about the growing aspect and how's it processed and how's it used for clothing and all of the components to it. So Educate to Regenerate is an educational based workshop platform that we've started but haven't taken further. I'd be very open to conversations about who would be interested in taking a type of education platform further for the wider Golden Bay as we start to develop seed sanctuary and more hemp growing. Of course, with the aim would be to localize and focalize education here in Golden Bay first. Where does permaculture come into this and diversity? Well, we are at Sustainable Living Centre, some of the most brilliant permaculture minds that I would say of New Zealand. So a lot of them are my friends, and I definitely will be having those conversations around what is the most sustainable way to grow hemp. We don't want to just monoculture hemp. That's not at all the intention. The intention is to heal ecosystems, and so whether it's rotational or with polycropping with other plants and other species, we will be looking at how do we maximize efficiency of growing hemp the most permaculture principle based way. Panels, maybe they can be grown on steep grounds on pine trees.
Yeah, that was our one. Now, what sort of gradient? What gradient can you grow here? Can you grow a lot
Good
of?
question. I guess it'd just be something that you can harvest. Yeah. But in saying that, here in New Zealand, we have one of the most complicated pine harvesting environments. Like we have some of the most developed pine harvesting technology in the world because we harvest pine on something like that. So if we've got that type of technology here, we can't use that for him.
It is, of course, the issue of the hill. The hill, once you clear it,
Yeah.
erosion is no different from fire.
With the significant wastage of wool from lamb export, that can be combined with hemp construction. Yeah. Absolutely. I think that as wool is a natural fiber, there's no reason why we can't be using it in our building products. Using hemp and wool bats would be really the most efficient type of bat for in wall or ceilings insulation. If I'm correct, I'm pretty sure New Zealand Fibers are looking at doing that at the moment. They're doing the geotextile for covering roads and things like that. But of course, it's a similar technology, and so you can make that factory turn into a bat. Can you adopt Elon Musk and shorten your timeline vision? Elon Musk, that guy, eh? Elon time.
There you go.
What
Probably,
What is that?
but I don't really know what that is. I just know that he's already on Mars, apparently,
Talk
in his
about
own, in his own headspace. But I don't know,
Talk about it.
yeah, what? Probably hemp could be grown on Mars easily, wouldn't it? Yeah. It'd be the fastest, photosynthesis, yeah, the fastest cycle to produce oxygen.
And well, that was my question, and it was really speaking to you have a 5 year vision.
Mhm.
Can you shorten that? Be more impactful.
You putting your hand up to volunteer?
Do you see ways you can work?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yes, there is definitely no limit. The only limit is your own imagination, right? So yes, absolutely, we can pack a lot more in. Michael and I have talked a lot about doing, or Michael especially setting up a Golden Bay Hemp club and a membership, so that these type of conversations can start to come together at the table, and start to come into fruition. Because there's no way in hell that I can do that all myself, or Michael himself, or even all of us here and here. Like it's a larger collective conversation to be done. So yes, definitely yes to your question. But also, sorry,
Great things take time.
that's the other thing. I do believe that in the law of attraction. And I believe that as we have more of this conversation, the acceleration rate of our evolution with hemp here in the Bay is just going to take off. So yeah, just believe it will happen. If fuel skyrockets, how will it be an affordable industry? Fuel in terms of firing the processing plants and things. We'll definitely be looking at electric and solar powered charge kilns and things like that. Yeah, I mean, part of hemp's carbon cycle is so quick that not only could we offset carbon emissions so quickly, but in that cycle of seed all the way to sanctuary, that whole process, right? We can be calculating each module and the carbon footprint of each module to understand the carbon cycle. And if that's something that we can do efficiently, then we can transform it into an affordable industry. Panel the concept or geo ships. Yeah, very, very similar, very inspiring. This is your question, right? Very inspiring project, and doing very similar things. I think they're doing a lot thinner panels than we are. We're looking at doing 200 to 300 thick panels, depending on what the type of construction is. But similar concept of having the modular element to the panels makes that affordable for people to do.
Can you explain a little more? I didn't understand the question.
You didn't answer the question. So geo ships and what it is. Geo ships is a project over in the US. And if I'm not mistaken, they've been at it for 5 years now, and it's a similar concept. They're doing like a ceramic hemp panel, and they're building geodesic domes. And so they're looking at how to scale that up into production to make that affordable on a larger level for like building villages and things like that. Yeah.
And they're just about done with their first prototype now. So yeah. They're just about done with their first prototype. Ready to go. Yeah.
Industrial hemp and is it growing in the building industry today? Slowly. The traditional hempcrete is quite a low tech construction. The mixing and the casting of a timber frame and then putting into the wall and tampering, which slows its evolution down because it's very labor intensive. So the moving on to structurally insulated panels and being able to cast them and fabricate them flat and then move them is going to make it more commercially viable. So, and that's part of the intention of bringing it into the larger construction industry and market.
You're nearly done, you've got about 5 minutes. Nearly full.
So geopolymers, yes. So we will be talking a little bit later on geopolymer and what constitutes geopolymer. We're lucky to be in the presence of a geopolymer alchemist here in Golden Bay, Andrew Earl, who for many years has been connecting with the hemp plant itself, as well as understanding the precision and alchemy of earth minerals. He keeps blowing my mind on all of the different ways that we can be mixing different earth minerals together to make different products. So it's very exciting, and so that talk is, I think, last today. So that's exciting. How the panels join together and waterproofing and earthquake and all of that stuff. Yeah, that'll be part of the R&D. That'll be part of the process that we go through, this code compliant process, systematic thing that we will do with the university and Callahan's. That'll be we'll be designing all of those components so that because these panels, we don't want them to just last 50 years as the standard building code is meant to. We're talking, we want these panels and houses to be thousands of years.
Anton, can I just ask a question, please? How many hectares are you looking at to create your 70 houses?
Well, 70 homes, 70 hectares.
Which is
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You know, and there'll be they won't produce all the same amount. So between 70 and 100 hectares is also, we're going to want to be using hemp for many other things.
What's the difference between a hemp plant grown for seed and a hemp plant grown for a house? And do those species exist in New Zealand now?
Yeah, good question. Compulti is probably the one that I know that does the dual crop. I definitely want to learn more about Aotearoa 1 to see how much of a fiber crop that will be. Yeah, I mean, I guess part of the fun element of doing this research is when we get to the stage of growing the hemp, is going out and talking to the farmers, you know, the New Zealand farmers who are growing hemp, and getting their expertise on to see what kind of hemp we will grow in the Bay, and grow more of that. So yeah. Question, what profit is that? That would be the intention. I mean, if we could do part of the Seed to Sanctuary vision and project is, you know, with those 70 houses and those 70 hectares of hemp, what's the carbon cycle? You know, what's the low impact of those 70 houses? You know, and then calculating and you know, turning this into a research project to really bring to the forefront our awareness of that whole process to grow 70 houses and how regenerative that is for the environment, for the people, for the health of the families living in the environment, the health of the soil. That would be the whole, yeah, package deal.
And would you grow just locally for the local housing industry, or would you grow here in Golden Bay for housing industry and all some other? Then I have a question: how sustainable is it to bring out the material that you grow here, like at the tip of the end, wherever you grow it, to all the big cities that actually need building material?
Yeah, the regenerative development principle is all about localized industry. It's all about not big scale fabrication, but more micro and regional fabrication and growing. But then of course it will differentiate between different regions. Like Canterbury, for example, it makes sense to have a good hub there because it's a very vast area, whereas Golden Bay, it doesn't make sense to bring things over. So we would try and innovate our own whole processing system here and grow all of our houses that we need here. If we can do that, that's a replicable model that anyone, anywhere in the world could do for themselves. The other questions, yes.
Have you liaised with the Golden Bay Affordable Housing Project with Chris Bennett?
Yes,
Is there any-
definitely had many conversations with Chris Bennett. Yeah, I love his vision, and we'll be supporting supporting each other through this, absolutely, yeah. Cool,
All right,
that's everyone, thank you very much.
brilliant.